Good morning, everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Patty, the Tinkerer's wife. Welcome to Tinkerer's Paradise here in Portland, Oregon. And I want to apologize first for not getting a video out yesterday. It was one of those days, and I had a very grumpy ankle. I fell going up my steps, and some of you have seen my posts about it. Actually had to ice it and take ibuprofen today, and it's all wrapped up. I've been wrapping it for 4 or 5 days now, so this is getting old. Anyway, enough of that. Things are hopping around here. I have some updates for you on our raised bed garden. My husband is off right now gathering up a what is it? It's something for his grinder. It's a cutting wheel for his grinder. That's what it is. So he can cut the metal. Yay! So the rest of this should go pretty fast after he gets the metal cut. Keeping my fingers crossed, on my knees praying. I am so excited. I'm jittery. Some of you know what that's like after having an extended winter time. Well, anyway, let's take a look and see what he's got going on here. There it is. I'm going to try and get up out of the chair gracefully. I don't think that's possible at my age. Ooh, that wasn't too bad. So, here's our raised beds without the sides, but I just had to show you. He put these nice 6x2s on here, so we have a nice place to sit, and they really finished it off nicely. This has turned out so beautiful. I'm excited. Matter of fact, I've got someone coming over this afternoon. She's so excited and she wants to see it too, so I'm very excited to see her because I haven't seen her in 3 years or more now. Life just does that sometimes. She's a good friend though, and there's nothing like a good friend coming for a visit. Always welcome with open arms. You know, as I say, no harm, no foul. I just missed her, and I'm glad that she's going to come over. So here it is. So imagine with me, right here, we have an arch, a nice big arch, and there will be, I'm thinking probably the noodle beans here, and then down there at that end I'll do cucumbers. We'll do, I'm not sure. I've got so many climbing things. I've got other beans that I need to put up, and then I've got the butterfly pea that I want to grow, and that I will probably put over here, but I might do it here because this is hotter. I'm thinking out loud. Do y'all think out loud? I know I do when I'm planning. So I'd like to know what you think about this. I mean, it's pretty spectacular to me. I'm looking at it through very desiring eyes. But it's going to be very sturdy. I think it's going to work really well. I'm very, very excited. We're going to put tomatoes down here at this end. It gets shady earlier down at this end. If I didn't do that, it would be in the very hottest part of the garden. And if we have another summer like last summer, our tomatoes will go into stasis and drop blooms and stop growing. All those things will happen. I can't afford that. Our growing season is too short here. So I'm going to put them here, I decided. We'll probably have 10 to 12, maybe more plants in here, and then I'll have some flowers growing beneath them. Of course, the cucumbers here. That'll be nice. I may do picklers over here on one of these. Oh, there's so much to plan. I just almost can't stand it. And I know what's going to happen. I can put it on paper, but the minute I go to plant things, it changes, because you know how sometimes things in theory look like they're going to work just fine, and then you go to work the plan and the plan isn't liking what you've built. I find that a lot, and that's one of the things I learned when I was in landscape design classes, is that you know, it's only a guideline. So you just remember that when you get all hot to go in your plans for your gardens and for your properties too. Be careful, take your time, plan well, but also plan for change, because it's possible that things won't work out the way you intended. Oh, I just love this grass. It is so fun. Milliam, I love you. I love you guys too. I know I'm being silly now. So that's what's going on here. I can't wait though. This old tin, let's say tin roof. It's actually corrugated roofing. This is from the 60s. It's thicker than what they have now, and this finish is much more durable than the way they finish these now also. This came from an old mink farm that closed down, and the owner of the place is selling this stuff. So we really have a nice source for repurposing materials. We may be doing more using this. I'd like to do a little garden shed, and actually the little garden shed or whatever shed would be right out there where that car is and impinge upon my husband's tent. So anyway, the tents aren't meant to be there forever. And I'm hoping that one day we will have a little garden shed out there. Now, I don't know if you guys can see that gold through the trees back there. That's a golden larch tree. Those things, or excuse me, golden ash. What am I saying, larch? It's a golden ash. Those are so beautiful this time of year. They just glow. Every time I'm driving around, I am having to remember not to stare too much. I might get in an accident. I really do like those trees. That color just feeds my soul this time of year. So do you have a color that feeds your soul this time of year? It seems like for me, it's yellows blended with reds. Salmony colors I like, salmony pinks I like all year round, but things that are very warm colored I like. I'm not as fond of those in the fall. Isn't that weird? A lot of people like them in the fall. I tend to like them in the summertime. And then in the fall, I want other colors to go with some of the fall colors, because I like playing with color. Oh, I must show you this. Oh, this is my Coral Charm peony that just started to bloom. This is this really nice, rich, corally pink, and it will fade to a lighter color. These are so fantastic. I just love these. Oh my goodness. Just love them. This here, might as well give you a little tour. This is chocolate eupatorium, or chocolate joe pye weed. It'll get a creamy umbel of flowers on top. Very pretty, blooms later in the summer. So that's a really nice one. This is Nepeta X Fascinii. It's a Grex cross. Nepeta, a catmint. This particular one, I can't remember the varietal name of it, but it's not available in the market anymore. And it's probably still one of my favorites. I don't know why it ever went away. I guess that's how marketing goes, though. Companies produce other things and think people don't want the old ones. This is a clematis, a type that does not twine. So I've got it in a tomato cage, you can see there. That's working for now. And we've got this lovely geranium. This is Anne Folkard. I call Anne Folkard the garden hussy. because Anne will weave in and around plants and then put out these most amazing magenta blooms with black centers. And you just can't help but notice them. Okay, what have we got here? This isn't a very good example right now, but this is actually a type of dianthus. Now imagine this if it had leaves all the way around it, or petals. Well, it looks like it's got something there. I better check that out. Here's a smaller one, but they're fringed. Yeah, what's with me and the fringes? I just posted something on Instagram earlier about fringe cup. I do like plants with fringes, I have to say. There's something about them, but these especially because they're old-fashioned. Excuse me, I hit that with my hand, sorry. I hope nobody got an upset stomach over that one. This hosta down here, it was given to me by a good friend, and I'm looking for the tag. We call it Katie Q. My friend Katie. This was a seedling from her garden. She moved down to, I think it was Costa Rica, and I've heard from her once and haven't heard from her since, and I'm hoping she's okay. And Katie, if you're out there, give me a shout. I'd love to hear from you. Got some variegated ginger here that's finally emerging. This is going to be a pretty full pot. I have another pot of it. I divided it up this year, decided that was a good idea. And this is one of our little edible weeds that comes up everywhere. Nipplewort. I understand those of you in the East also have this plant. And a tip for those of you who see this, if you see it coming up in your garden, just wait until it sends up a good flower stalk, and then you can just pull it right out of the ground. The crown releases right out of the ground. Isn't that nice? So you can actually eat some of the leaves in salads earlier in the late winter. Let it go to flower for the insects, and before it sets seeds, just pull it up. It's like a multi-purpose plant. I love multi-purpose plants. There are several clematis over there that I bought last year, $5 a piece. I like that. Now they're probably worth like 12 bucks or so in these containers if I was to buy them in a nursery. They aren't as large as the ones that are like $15 and $16, but that's one of the benefits if you're willing to wait. I know somebody on the Roots and Refuge Facebook page was wanting just to talk about patience, and I'm like, oh man, I feel like I could write a whole book on it. Especially when it comes to the garden. Maybe I will someday. There's a lot to say about patience in the garden. My poor seedlings going to seed, starting to flower. They're still edible. I'm going to show you another thing over here, and then I think we're going to call it quits because my ankle is really not being nice. My little heirloom rose that came across the Oregon Trail and landed in Eastern Oregon, given to me by an elderly woman out that way. This was brought over by her grandmother's family. I looked on the notes, it was definitely her great-grandmother's, and a plant that made this wild place seem like home. That's one of the reasons plants are so important to us. And I know for many of us that move, and that happens a lot in the country, oftentimes we do take plants with us. And it's really a wonderful thing to do. It really is. There's times I wish I had plants from my mother and father's garden, but I don't. My brother has some irises, I think, still. But you know, I have good memories, and when I see a peace rose, that was one that Dad always grew. Tropicana roses were my mom's favorite, and she tried growing them here in Oregon and in the corner of the Pacific Northwest part, up here, I'm gonna say the greener portion of Oregon. And what ended up happening was they got every disease known to man. There are just some roses that don't do that well here. So it sounds like we've got some big activity. I know this morning I was awakened at 3 o'clock. A car had driven by sounding like it was in the wrong gear or something. Actually, it kind of didn't sound like a car. But it turned the corner about 4 houses away from me, and it turned away from us, and it hit something. And I could hear the motor still going. I poked my head out the door, and 2 men were going, "He's still in the car, there's somebody in there." And 3 or 4 cop cars came, and 3 fire trucks, and a car that looked like it might be a coroner's van. And it was sad. It was sad, I have to say. That's not how you want to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, but I live on a crazy street, and sometimes we have sad things that happen here. So my prayers go out to that family. I'm going to do some looking around there. I'm hoping they didn't hit my friend's house around the corner, but it sounded like that might be it because of how he was traveling. Well, anyway, I think I'm going to call it quits here. Guess I should get in a little better light. That's probably better, huh? Sorry to end on kind of a sorrowful note. It was just a big deal. I guess I'm more sensitive about those things than maybe I used to be. When I was younger, it didn't seem to bother me quite so much. But you know, life's short, and we never know when our time's going to come. So I would say garden. Garden more, love more. Yeah. Enjoy every moment. Take time to enjoy every moment. And be grateful. You have a good day. Bye-bye. This is Patty from Tinker's Paradise. God bless.